Good morning. Welcome to February, the 1st of February. Today I'm talking about goals and not just things that I personally want to achieve, but also how to work with the fear, the lack of clarity, the limiting beliefs, the obstacles, basically the things that hold you back. So often, many of my clients will have all of the ideas. They'll know what they want. They are never short of thoughts and feelings and, oh, wouldn't that be cool? Or I'd love to do that. They're very connected with themselves. And also, alongside that, because the two of them run alongside each other, they have, like I do, like most people do, the fears, the insecurities, the triggers, the who am I to do this? What if it doesn't work out? All of the sort of the negative things that keep us safe. And often these things are great because they keep us grounded, they keep us focused, they keep us safe. And that's what our brain wants to do. But that doesn't mean that you can't do great things. And I know that from 15 years of doing this work, so many people are capable of way more than they ever think that they are. And sometimes you just need a little taste of something, or to see it, or to get an idea churning in your head for you to have that moment of, maybe I could do that. Or maybe it's not going to be as difficult as I thought. Why don't I try and just see? So today what I want to do is to begin to open up that door for you, that door of possibility, that door of expansion, and to not ignore the fear and just push it down and go, no, I'll be fine. It's all right. I'm not scared. And actually welcome it, bring it in, let's have a conversation, let's work with it, because often it's going to be there. And that was really disappointing for me when I realized that I'm always going to be scared to some degree of creating something. But what's happened now is the more that I keep moving in that direction, the quicker that I spot it. I spot it like, oh, there you are. There you are. Thank you. Thank you. You've given me that little, stop, pause. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Yes, I'm fine. Okay, great. Off you go then. It's that feeling. I'm now in conversation with it. So here we go. Let's look at some of the things that pop up. Number 1, overwhelm. Excitement, so many ideas. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited, but I don't know where to start or what to pick, or I want all of the things yesterday. I'm impatient. Why is it not happening quick enough? That whirlwind of, if it was a sound, it would be like, like that's what your head feels like. So many people, when they have a session with me one-on-one, is they're like, I've got 81 ideas and I want this whole thing and I don't know where to start. I don't know what's the best thing what do I focus on? Is it this? All of it. And they have like, it feels like a running thought pattern with no punctuation, no pauses. And it's a lot. So if that's you, if you're starting this month going, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do. I want to build this and I want to create this and I want to stop that and I love that and I hate that and I really need to do X, Y, and Z. And why has this not happened yet? And all of the things. I want you to, yes, spend time in that big picture thinking. So firstly, the more you can get out of your head onto a piece of paper, into a voice note, into a coaching session, the better. Whilst it swims around and round and round in your head, it's going to be difficult to process. It's going to be difficult to do something with. You know, those thoughts that you have, if you wake up at 5 to 3 in the morning and you're going round and round and round on one particular loop and you can't break it. And because it's at the middle of the night and everybody else is asleep, you're catastrophizing, you're thinking the worst case scenario, and it just feels awful. So the more that you can, first and foremost, move from your head onto a piece of paper, the better. And having that time and honoring that time for big picture thinking is a great thing. You really coloring in all of the parts of the big vision is great, because I actually don't believe that we should just work on a month-to-month basis and then the vision will appear. Like, have that in, we can break down the process, but ultimately allow yourself to get into that big picture thinking of, what is it actually that I'm building? What is the full version of this? Allow yourself to do that. And then start with one thing. If you were looking at a big house that you were going to renovate, you might walk into that house with all the visions and the curtains and the colors, and I want to do this, and I want to knock the kitchen out, and what are we going to use for that room? Maybe we could convert it into a utility, and the garden's great, but the way that it is, it just doesn't work. And you have all of those things. Understanding ultimately what your dream version of that house would be is a great place to start, because you don't want to start knocking down walls if you're like, actually, ultimately, what we want to do is extend that. So why have we spent all of that time building those things? So the big picture thing with a house renovation is important. However, you have to know then where you're going to start, and you have to take the action and get into the momentum of, we're now moving from thinking about this to doing it. And this could be something so small. It could be, I don't know, if there's a downstairs toilet going, why have they got that horrible manky green carpet in there? We're going to pull the carpet up. That's the first thing. That's the first room that we're going to focus on. Or one of the things that we did when we moved into our house was we are definitely in that peak period of time where we have a lot of layers, coats, hats, gloves. And immediately I thought, we've got to find somewhere. And they didn't have like, hooks or anything like that, or a cupboard. And immediately I thought, right, that's the first thing we've got to do, because as soon as people come in, that needs to happen. And what happens often in relating back to your dream is that people get into the overwhelm and the what if, and I don't know if I can afford it, and how is this all going to work? And they stay in that position in a way that it actually doesn't help them. You're going to get so much feedback, so much dopamine, so much sense of satisfaction if you do the first thing. Because as soon as you do the first thing, you're on your way. Off we go. I'm now renovating. You're not thinking about it anymore. You're now doing it. And it's the same with your big picture. You simply have to decide on the first thing. And maybe that first thing is going to be your focus for February. Great to know all of your 2025 goals, but there are 12 months. Yes, we've done one already, but after February, there's still going to be 10 months to do the other things. But you're not going to have the whole house renovation unless you begin with one thing. And if you are constantly choosing to stay in, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm so overwhelmed. I just want to do everything. I don't want to choose an idea. You're choosing to stay in the thinking rather than the doing. You're choosing to make that the story, that the vibe of your everyday. You're choosing to be overwhelmed and stay in that. And that's sometimes a difficult thing to recognize, because maybe that's such a part of your identity and your personality. And to look at things in a different way, it's like, oh, this feels a bit different. This feels, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But just try it. And even if you want to just test it for this month, do it. If you hate the idea and it doesn't work for you and you'd still rather be in like doing all the things, great, no problem. You've got 10 months of this year to do all of that. Number 2, believing it's not possible. So on paper, you might write that down, these goals, these visions, these dreams, the things you want to be, do, have, and feel. And immediately you might say, I don't know though. Like, could I really do that? And then your brain goes, oh my goodness. Okay, right. Yeah, what do you need? Are you in fear? Are you in fear? Yeah, that's fine. No problem. I'll keep pouring all the reasons why you can't. Oh yeah. Okay. I've got another 31 things. They're coming down the chute now. Here we go. Tell her that she's going to be too tired. Tell her that she can't do this now she's a mum. Tell her that she's too old for this. Tell her. Your brain will snap into action. And so if you stay in that mindset of, I'm not sure if this is possible, I don't even know if I can do it, your brain will go, it's all right, I've got you. I'm going to support you and I'm going to give you all the reasons and I'm going to protect you and I'm going to keep you safe. But you have just written all the things you want to be, do, have, and feel. And so this is when you might go into acting as if. Now, this is not you saying, well, I think I'm a millionaire, so I'm just going to take out a credit card and I'm going to buy myself, I don't know, a diamond ring, a diamond necklace, because that's what a millionaire would have. That I'm not saying that. But sometimes you just need to move from, I don't even know if I can do this, to, what if I could do this? What if I could do this? Hey, wouldn't that be cool? What if this worked out? What if I figured something out today? What if? And choosing, and sometimes that's moving from 50-50 into 49-51. I once heard Stephen Bartlett say about Obama that he makes decisions if he's 51% sure. And that really felt like a low percentage. But I understand what he's saying. It goes from not making a decision into 1% more. And so when you get stuck in that, I don't know if it's possible for me, I want you to do 4 things. The first, be open to possibility. I always come back to this because for me, there are so many things that I do not want to do in this life. I have no urge. I have no pull towards it. It's not even on my radar. It's of no interest to me. And I trust that. I have no desire really to do a bungee jump. And I'm not thinking about bungee jumps on a day-to-day basis. I'm not feeling guilty for not wanting to do a bungee jump. I'm really happy with my decision. I feel good about it. And so therefore, if I'm trusting those things I don't want to do, I trust the things that I do want to do. The ideas, the sparks of the inspiration of like, oh, that feels really good. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I trust those things as well. And so therefore, the first thing you need to do is to be open to that personality. Yeah. Be open to that possibility, that sense of, well, this has landed for some reason. I'm not even sure why yet, but maybe there's something in this. And it's just literally like, it's a lot of shrugging and a lot of like, well, let's just see. The second response in believing it's not possible is to find inspiration. There are so many people on the internet sharing their stories, sharing how they did it, sharing how they faced adversity, that it's all there. And most of it is free. So if you are in that place of like, I can't do it, it's not possible, go and find it. There will be somebody who is less privileged, less talented, less capable, has less resources, less time, less money, all of the things than you have. And so seeing that can sometimes be that fire within yourself of going, oh, okay, right, it's okay, I guess it's just time to move into action. And number 3, to give yourself that grace. This is something that is happening a lot in our house at the moment, where my kids want to get something right the first time. And I remember that feeling personally as a little girl. And I've said very openly, you're not going to get it right the first time, always. And they looked at me like, what? You're not going to get it right the first time, always. But you're going to have to do it a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and beyond. And that's okay. And I've said that in a very clear way because I don't want them to think that as soon as they try it for the first time and it doesn't go right, then that's it for them. We all, I think people like me, my generation, grew up in the 80s and 90s, like we had to be perfect. We had to do everything right. Otherwise, you'd get somebody who'd be like, oh my gosh, you've absolutely messed this. What have you done? What have you done? What an absolute mess you've made. Or, oh, right, well, we should never have trusted you in the first place. All of these things. And you might be thinking, well, I was just having a go and I'd never done it before. And I know that this is quite an important life skill. So I need to give myself a little bit of grace. The final response here to believing it's not possible is to take small steps. And taking small steps means doing like 1% of the thing and going, yes, 1% done. I did it. Now on to 2%. Okay, let's move. And again, often the things that are celebrated are when people produce the final result. That might not be the case. That final result might not come for a long, long time. To go back to my house renovation situation, these things take time. I know the internet does this time lapse thing where it's like, oh my gosh, suddenly they bought their dream home and now look at it. Most things are not like that. They take time, progress, resilience, failure, experimenting, trying again, success, all of it along the way. Number 3, here is something that feels and sounds really creative and spontaneous and expansive, but it actually doesn't help you. Number 3 is I'll know it when I see it or when it feels right. And there is sometimes a sense where you go into a situation, a partnership, or something happens where you're just like, where or why did this come into my life? But it feels so good. That sort of dream meeting. However, I believe that those things come from being in the game, being in the process. And I think this about houses, that there is definitely a feeling that you have when every house that I've lived in, apart from one where we had to ignore the feeling and we had to move. So that's what we did. But every other house that I've lived in, I've had that sense of this feels right. This makes sense to me. But the only way that I got there was being really clear about my filter system. So for example, if when I was going to an estate agent, I had criteria. I had the number of bedrooms, the budget, the location, etc., whatever it might have been at the time. And so they have got that checklist that is therefore going to help me with what I need to look for. So often with people's goals, they just go, I'll know it when I see it. I'll know it when the time is right. Or it's probably going to happen in the summer for me. And these vague things give us permission to stay small and to not try and to not be in the flow. We go into this static position of like, well, it will come to me. And yes, maybe it might, but most things will come to you quicker if you move forward as well. And so when you are thinking about things, I want you to put those filter things in place. So like with going to buy, going to rent a house, the more specific you can be about your filter system, the better, because the estate agent's going to go, oh, great, I'm not even going to show you that one because it's only got 1 bedroom. And I know you're looking for 3 or 4 bedrooms. Great. You're not going to waste your time doing that because it's not right for you. And if you are struggling at this stage with your filter systems of what it is you actually want, sometimes flipping it around, like I just mentioned, what you don't want is equally as important. I don't want this. Going back to the bedrooms, 1 bedroom is never going to work. We're a family of 4. So we're looking for a 3 or a 4 bedroom house. Brilliant. That filters the process through. So looking at the opposite is equally as useful. Number 4, if you have been historically into going all in or going all out, there is often a thing where people go all in on exercise or they do nothing at all. They go all in on food or everything is healthy and juices and all of these things. They're in monk mode in their business, or they're just totally burnt out. They've got nothing to do. I want you to think about this month in terms of a rhythm. Now, that rhythm might not be consistent each and every day. It might be like a really lovely rhythm, Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, like it comes down a little bit. But what I want you to do is to find a pace that works for you. And my daughter has started wanting to do like running races against herself on the way to school. And she would do like runs, like 2 or 3 like big runs, and then run out of steam, and then spend the second 2/3 of the second half of the trip to school moaning, complaining, I'm so tired, my legs hurt, I've got this weird thing with my elbow, I don't think I can, I don't like Tuesdays, whatever goes on in a 5-year-old's brain. And so I've said to her, like, pace yourself. You don't have to run the fastest you've run, but if you want to run, just run a little bit and then have a break. Run a little bit and then have a break, and find that rhythm. I want you to think about the data that you want to collect this month. So on the 28th of February, what do you want to know more about in terms of your business and life? And in order to collect that data, that might mean that you have to go slower. And what that might look like is you saying, okay, I'm going to do something every day, and I'm going to collect the data and see where I am on the 28th of February. This is not saying, right, for the first week of February, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to work all hours. I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm going to work till midnight. I'm going to do it all. And then next weekend, you're like, I am so tired. I hate my business. I don't want to do it anymore. This is too much. Have a look, have an experiment at what that consistent rhythm might do for you. Number 5, this is maybe the most important one. We set our goals, we think about what we want, we fully align with it. It feels really good. And then our inner saboteur, our inner critic, our inner child, our wounds where we were bullied, whatever it might be, come in. What if you fail? What if you make a fool of yourself? Like it's always that thing like, what you make a fool about yourself? What? Oh my God, what if you mess this up? What if you get it wrong? What will people say? All of these things that come in, and they've always got a sassy voice. That's why I'm doing my chin like that. It comes in. And often those thoughts, those phrases are so cruel to ourselves. I would never speak to anybody like that. I mean, I just can't imagine saying like, what if you get it wrong to my child? It just feels so awful. I feel like I need to phone them immediately and go, I'm so sorry I even had that thought. I just would never do that. But yet with myself, I can pull up all of that stuff. And so if those thoughts, feelings come up, I want you to question them. I want you to notice, if they even deserve a place at the table, if they are outdated, if they are untrue, if it's something somebody said to you and you're like, actually, if I met them in the street age 43 and I had a drink with them, would I take their opinion seriously? Would I assume that they knew better about my life than I knew for myself? For most people, absolutely not. I told this story a little while ago. I was in a supermarket with my dad and my kids, and I bumped into a woman that I hadn't seen probably since I was about 17. And even then, like, I didn't really know her very well. And she knew me as a kid. She was obviously an adult. And she just looked at me and shook her head and she went, "What are you doing bringing up kids in London?" And I said, "It's our home. This is where we live. We love it." And she looked at me like, still, almost like, "I still think you're making a big mistake." And I just thought, oh my goodness, where, A, you don't even know me that well. B, me 17 was a really long time ago. And C, we have a different set of priority. And D, I'm an adult. I can do what I like. And so something like that, you know, I could have taken away and go, maybe I am making a big mistake. No, I'm not. Our work is here. Our home is here. The kids' life is here. They've never lived anywhere else. And there are so many of these examples. So, ways to work with that. What if it all worked out? What if you doing this thing, you setting these goals for February, what if it all worked out? What if you became an inspiration to somebody else? What if somebody that you don't know or had never mentioned it was watching you going, well, if she's doing it, maybe I could do it. Maybe that could be the case. Also, what if it did fail? Like, what would be the worst thing that would happen? Because failure at some stage is inevitable. We're all going to make mistakes. We don't come with a manual. I often joke that when you bring your babies home from hospital, or, you know, if you have a home birth and you sort of are on that day one of being parents, you get more instructions from an IKEA flat pack than you do raising a child. This is scary when you think about it. So inevitably, if you've got no instructions and you've never done it before, you're going to make mistakes. Also, it's all good and it's all data. So even if you get to the end of February and you think, I'm not where I want to be. Oh my gosh, I tried that. That's a nightmare. It's all good. It's all good. You've tried it, you've had a go, and it's all data. All of that information, all the good things, the bad things, the difficult things, it's all data. It's all going to help you. And I also want you to think, what if it worked in the short term? So what if you got to the end of February and you're like, oh my goodness, I've actually done this. This is working. This is happening. I'm on the path. And secondly, what is that going to do in the long term? Can you imagine at the end of 2025 where you go, yeah, February. Woo, February was that month where things began to shift and turn and it was great. February was a great month. And then when you meet February next year, 2026, you'll be like, well, in February 2025, I did X, Y, and Z. So I know I can do it now. So I'm going to do this. We have to have snap back comments, retorts, feelings, instincts that meet our limiting beliefs, our obstacles in our head, because many of them are not true. If you are ready to make some mega moves this month, this year, send me a message. I'm booking people in. Yeah, I've got so much exciting stuff to share with you. Come back tomorrow, where no doubt I'll be doing another one of these. Share it with a pal, subscribe, follow along. I would love that. And let me know what you're going to do today. Let me know what your big, hairy, scary, exciting goals are for February. And I'm wishing you everything you wish yourself, as my Granny Olive used to say to me. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye.